Hey everybody, it's Trigger Bar Philosopher. Welcome back out to the channel. Today we're going to be continuing our episodes where we're looking at 380 ACP ammunition, particularly around our Bodyguard 2.0 from Smith and Wesson, our Kimber Micro 380, and our Beretta Cheetah 80X. Today we're going to be looking at the Underwood Extreme Defender 68 grain. Let's get to shooting. All right, well, what do we have on tap for today? We have the Smith and Wesson Bodyguard 2.0, the Kimber Micro 380, and the Beretta Cheetah 80X. And we're going to be testing this Underwood Extreme actually it's the Extreme Defender. It's a 68 grain, supposed to be going 1,300 feet per second. And we'll see how it performs in gel with our Garmin and maybe even a little bit of accuracy testing. Let's get to shooting. Okay, well, my apologies. We do not have a fresh gel block at this time, but we are going to test, and this has been much anticipated, the Underwood Extreme Defender. This is they call it an external hollow point, so it's supposed to create turbulence as it goes through gel type medium and meat targets. We'll see how it performs. One issue that I personally have had that I know other Bodyguard owners have not had is I sometimes have had malfunctions with it. Let's see how it performs in this gel though. Okay, well, let's just take a look at that. I understand why people like these Underwood rounds. I've liked them in the past too. If we can get it reliable in the Bodyguard, Smith and Wesson Bodyguard 2.0, that will be excellent. We have in the background some other tests that I have been doing. That was from a Remington jacketed hollow point. You can see in comparison, this goes a lot further. Now, whether or not it's deviating from its course, I don't know if I just shot at that angle. Maybe I wasn't level when I shot into the gel block, but we can see that it has some significant disturbance in the gel, and we have very good penetration all the way out to the 14-inch mark. The FBI standard is 12 inches. We got to 14 inches. Excellent. Let's try this out in some other pistols. Next up, we're going to try this out in the Kimber Micro 380. And we will see if we can get this in a spot that won't disturb the other. Okay, I think that's not bad. Okay, we're going to take a look. This is the bottom wound track, and we're getting out to just over 12 inches, right around 12 and a half, 12 and 3/4, let's call it, inches into the gel, which is less than the 14 inches that we got out of the Smith and Wesson. Again, I am more and more convinced that this is because the Smith and Wesson has a higher twist rate, 1 in 10, which means that it'll produce higher angular momentum, and that results in deeper penetration and probably better hollow point expansion. Of course, these are not hollow point rounds. This Extreme Defender, again, in both of these pistols is proving that for ballistically, it's a great round. Okay, I'm going to try to get this Beretta in between those bullets. Maybe I'm just going to try to go a little bit above them. How about that? That's not bad. It may have escaped out the back. It did. Let's get one more. All right, let's go see how that did. Okay, let's take a look and see how we did. Our first one went here and then escaped out of the gel at about 8 or 9 inches. That's not a great test. The next time we tried to go just below it, and we went down here, and isn't that super interesting? It's interesting to me. The Beretta bullet is behind the Smith and Wesson bullet, and they got exactly the same amount. Now, there's a significant amount of barrel difference between these two. Still not sure if you guys can see it, but they're both right here. Behind here is the Bodyguard. So that Smith and Wesson is punching way above its weight class. Really demonstrated in this Underwood that 1 in 10 twist. We don't know what the Beretta twist rate is, so but based on this, I'm going to say it's a higher twist rate. probably more in line with what that Kimber is. Very, very interesting result. Okay, we'll have our Bodyguard 2.0, and we have this Underwood Extreme Defender, and we're going to be shooting 4 shots with it. It's expensive stuff, and we're going to take a look at it with our Garmin 0C1. 1174, it's supposed to be getting 1300. 1223. 1195. And 1206. So not bad in the end. And for our session summary, we had an average of almost 1200. That's about 100 feet per second less. That could be made up with barrel length. Our min of 1174, our max of 1223, and our extreme spread of 50. And what we saw in the gel is this performed very well and is a great self-defense round if it runs reliably. Now, this shot has shot, I don't know, all 5 rounds that I've shot in the Bodyguard 2.0 today without any hiccups. When I first got it, I had hiccups. It could have just been breaking in the gun at that point. We'll have to do some more testing. Okay, we have the Kimber Micro 380 with the 68 grain Underwood. 1181. 1179. 1157. And 1201. My apologies if it looks like I'm bending weird. I'm trying to get it as close to the Garmin as I can. I don't think it makes a difference, but I'm trying to stay within the recommended distance from our handguns. So our min was 1157, our max was 1180. Sorry, our average was 1180 and our max was 1201. Again, we're seeing the Smith and Wesson, which has a slightly shorter barrel, perform better than this Kimber. And the extreme spread of 44.5. I often thought it was the barrel twist that was making a difference. It may not be making a difference. It could just be that these bullets get a little bit higher velocity. That wouldn't explain why it gets greater distance with a jacketed hollow point in the gel. That's probably the spin. All right, let's keep shooting. Okay, now we have a little bit longer barrel with the Beretta. Again, I'll try to stay close to this thing. Just make sure. 1283. And it didn't like that. 1280. 1255. And 1287. I have had problems with this Underwood with the Beretta also. So for our session summary, we had a min of 1255, max of 1287, and an average of 1276. Extreme spread of 31. Again, not great. But as we see, that barrel length increases, the velocity is increasing nicely. And in this extreme Defender, we saw a nice increase in penetration, but not over the Bodyguard, which is really kind of interesting to me because you didn't get hollow point expansion. Just really interesting. I think we get, it's a screwdriver tip. I bet we're getting a screwdriver effect with that faster twist rate. All right, we've got this Underwood 68 grain in our Bodyguard 2.0. We'll see how we do at 5 yards for accuracy. And again, we got a failure with it. I really wish this worked in my Bodyguard. It doesn't work with my Bodyguard so well. It's about the only ammunition I seem to be having problems with. Yeah, and performance isn't great. There is a bit of wind, and at this 5 yards, we could be getting some wind. I'm kidding. But yeah, that's just disappointing that even in that 5 rounds, we still get a failure to feed. All right, well, we're at 5 yards. We have the Kimber Micro 380. We have that 68 grain screw tip type bullet from Underwood. We'll see how it performs. So it performs a little better in the Kimber, and it actually runs, and the group isn't half bad. So I definitely would consider carrying it in my Kimber, but not in my Smith and Wesson. All right, well, we're at 5 yards. We got our Beretta Cheetah X, and we've got this Now we have a little bit of a difference with this and the other ones with accuracy, but we have the Underwood 68 grain. We should be lights out with this. We'll see if trigger bar can do it. And again, not great. The Beretta struggled with everything today. And trigger bar is not lights out with it. Again, I attributed it to wind. Ha ha ha. All right, let's wrap up and see what we're talking about. All right, well, let's just wrap things up. Today we looked at the Underwood 68 grain Extreme Defender, and we checked it out with our Bodyguard 2.0, our Kimber Micro 380, and our Beretta Cheetah 80X. And we saw very good performance in the gel. We saw okay performance with the velocities, not quite getting what the box recommended. And then we saw okay accuracy. But one of the main things that we saw was that in both the Beretta and the Bodyguard, in my Beretta and my Bodyguard, I have continued to have malfunctions with this round. And so therefore, I don't think for me, except for when I'm running my Kimber Micro 380, am I going to be using this for a self-defense type round. Now, for those of you who are on YouTube, watching this as a YouTube reviewer, all of these guns were conducted at a safe range. None of these have had trigger modifications. There's no hair triggers. There's no incendiary or explosive rounds. There's no machine guns. There's no automatic fire. There's no... The capacity of these magazines are well within the range of the YouTube limits. So we're talking 12 rounds, 10 rounds, those types of things with our capacity on these handguns. And then finally, I just want to say thank you. And what type of ammunition are you looking at? This is, I think, our third video in a series of 380 ACP guns. Are you liking this series? What other ammunitions would you like me to test? Please put in the comments below. Is there a 380 round that you're interested in? Or are you just saying, look, trigger bar, all your testing has done has convinced me that I don't want to carry a 380? Put that also in the comments if you don't mind. I hope everyone has a great week, and let's get to shooting.